Today we're going to talk to Gopesh, who is also a very good friend of mine, but we're not going to talk anything about, career or academics or work or anything of that sort. So I think I wanted to keep this a slightly offbeat conversation and a little more fun. So Gopesh is a guy who actually travels a lot, and he's got a lot of stories about all of his different travels and stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of ask him about, hey, give us his experiences and stuff like that. So Gopesh, let's get started. So I'm not going to ask you to like say something about your self and stuff like that. So because I guess through the conversation, people will get to know you better anyway. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. And you travel a lot. So why should someone travel, and why do you travel? So can you talk about the why behind it?
Yeah, I think that's a very very obvious question. And so one thing for me is, you just live once, right? You don't live multiple times. And, the thing is, you don't want to go into your deathbed thinking that, oh my God, I missed out doing all these things. You want to experience whatever the world has to offer. So, that's definitely one thing. The second thing is, it's a very good way to de-stress. So once you travel to a different location, you completely leave all your stress behind, all your worries behind. And a lot of it obviously depends on the company that you are traveling with. Sometimes you might get more stressful, when you are traveling with a certain group of people. But yeah, so obviously the company matters, but yeah, it's a very good way to de-stress, because this life is full, is filled with all stress and worries and job and all of that. So I think this helps you de-stress completely. The third thing is, it opens you up, it opens your mind up to different kinds of people. It opens your mind to different kinds of cultures, which you're not used to. Obviously, we grew up in India in a very kind of protected environment, but we are fortunate enough to come to the US and experience life in the US. That's one aspect. But then you might travel to another continent altogether, which is very different from the US and India. So it just helps you, just open up your, broaden your horizons, as you might call it. So that's, the third thing. The fourth thing, which I personally like, is it gets me out of my comfort zone. So my comfort zone, honestly, is if you give me Netflix, if you give me food, and you give me drinks, I can spend one entire week just, binging on Netflix and food and drinks. It's like that. And obviously, that is also important for you. You obviously want to relax in that kind of manner. But traveling obviously adds that additional dimension. It when I say pushing you out of your comfort zone, obviously, it could talk about your fitness levels, first of all. It could talk about your, you might have an adventure streak, which, you've not tapped into, you'd want to get into that. You might be afraid of heights, you experience something like, bungee jumping or something, you overcome that fear. So it just helps you get out of your comfort zone, which is, I think, very important for everyone. And that is why I would say, I think what is important is how you travel. It's obviously, people love to travel, but I think the more important question is how you like to travel. So I think I like to push myself out of my comfort zone.
Interesting. And so just as a follow-up to that, Gopesh, is what started this? So like, when did you get this thing, and what was there a trigger or anything like that, Gopesh?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I did travel a bit with family. So obviously I didn't like, my dad didn't have a traveling job, so we were completely in Mumbai, while growing up. But whenever we had the opportunity, we would travel to the north of India, we would travel to the south of India. I think once in every 2 years we used to go to Jammu, to Vaishno Devi, and then take trips to to north of India, like Punjab, Himachal. Surprisingly, I've not seen Taj Mahal yet, so that's I'm not very proud of that, but that's one thing I've still not seen. But apart from that, yes, I think I used to watch a lot of the Travel Channel. So people used to go to different parts of the country, or different parts of the world rather, and have different experiences, try out different cuisines, and that's something I really wanted to do. And I started watching all of this before coming to the US. So I was like, yeah, when I come to the US and when I start earning and all of that, I want to experience what those guys have experienced. So I think that is definitely one of the biggest motivations that I had. And like people like Anthony Bourdain, Andrew Zimmerman, like all of them were my inspirations, while growing up. And now I think, obviously, you look at Instagram, I follow a lot of wildlife photographers, a lot of these landscape photographers, and they travel to different parts of the country and different parts of the world. So you just get a lot of ideas from them. So yeah, I think I still continue to follow them because I think my bucket list is ever changing and it just keeps adding to the list.
I'm very curious to know what your bucket list is, Gopesh. So I think we will get to that. But before that, Gopesh, is there a particular theme that you like? So do you? I don't know. I mean, can you talk about a particular theme that you prefer, or are you cross themed? But can you talk a little bit about that, please?
So yeah, so I think I prefer nature over cities. So if I go to a particular country, I would just spend about a day, possibly two, in a major city. But I would like to explore the countryside. Live in a rustic inn. Just have a casual conversations with with local people, and it's more about that. I prefer, obviously. I prefer nature, as I said, nature over cities. I love the mountains. I love the oceans. So I think, and even the wildlife safaris, if it's wherever it's possible, right? So, so I think I don't prefer mountains over oceans or something like that because people have very specific requirements. I love the beaches or I love the mountains. I love everything. So, but I do prefer nature over cities. Though I would love to visit some of the major cities. I would love to visit Paris, Rome, London. I've already seen. But I would like to spend more time on the countryside. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a very interesting story about London that we should probably get to in a while. But before that, can you maybe give us a high-level list of places that you've visited, Gopesh?
So when I was in India, when I was growing up in India, I visited. Obviously, I traveled quite a bit to the south because that's where my native place is. So, traveled to Kerala. Traveled to different parts of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka. And then we used to make trips to the north of India as well. So we used to go to Jammu and used to visit Amritsar very often. We used to go to the Golden Temple, and the Wagah borders was one very surreal experience. When I went there, Himachal was again very beautiful. So these are the places that I visited in India. And as I mentioned, I would love to visit Taj Mahal at some point in life. And obviously, Northeast is something I've still not explored. But so those are some of the places I would love to visit. Then I've been to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. That's again when I was kind of growing up in my early 20s. Visited Dubai as well during the same time. Then after coming to the US, obviously, I've tried to explore as much of the US as possible. So I think I've practically covered the entire Northeast, right up to Acadia National Park, to Niagara Falls to the west, and then obviously Washington DC to the south. So obviously Northeast, I've pretty much covered. I don't think I've left anything really in the Northeast, including obviously the New England area for fall foliage and all. So, but then obviously coming down south, Florida is one place I keep visiting. I've already been there 4 times. Smoky Mountains I've been to, and I love the West also. So you have the Bay Area, like you have the San Francisco area, which is again beautiful, and you have South California again, which is Los Angeles. Again, one of my personal favorites are in the Southwest, which is I would say the Grand Canyon is again extremely beautiful. And within the Grand Canyon area, there's something called as Havasu Falls, which is it's got these blue waterfalls in the middle of a desert. It's it just feels very, very unreal. And I was just there, I think about 2 years back. So that was an extremely interesting place. Been to Colorado, Grand Teton, Yellowstone, and just recently went to the Oregon coast as well. So that was again a good experience. So obviously those are within the US, right? And I've been to Canada, so I've been to Banff National Park, which is one of the most beautiful places on earth, obviously. Visited Toronto once. So I would love to visit the mainland of Europe, but I've gone to the islands. So I've been to United Kingdom and I've been to Iceland. So, again, 2 very beautiful places. I think that pretty much covers what all I've been to. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's a really long list, Gopesh. So can you talk about your favorite among these, or memorable among these and stuff like that? So something that's very memorable, or your favorite, and maybe the why behind it as well. Like, why is this your favorite, or why is this your most memorable, Gopesh?
So I think again, I think there are quite a few of them. So I did mention about Iceland. I did mention about Banff National Park as well. I think the most memorable, possibly, yeah, I feel would be Banff National Park, I would say, because that was my first solo trip, if you can call that, right? So I had a lot of unplanned solo trips also, which we can get to later. But this was a completely planned solo trip over 4-5 days, and I had to create my own itinerary. I had to have my own hotel bookings or hostel bookings, you might call it. Some of them didn't go my way, which we can again kind of I can get to that. But yeah, it was memorable in a lot of ways. It's a beautiful place also to visit. But having said that, I think even Iceland was extremely beautiful. That we went with a group of friends over there, and yeah, the landscape changes in Iceland are just literally out of this world. It doesn't feel like you're on Earth. You got black sand beaches, but then right within a 5-minute walk you have icebergs, breaking out of glaciers. It just feels very unreal. I wanted to see the Northern Lights. We didn't end up seeing it, so that's one thing that what didn't go my way really. But yeah, there's always a next time. So would love to visit those places once again.
Interesting. And so let's move on to something similar. Is in terms of scariest or exciting, Gopesh, and of course, I'd love to listen to the why behind it as well, please.
Yeah. So the worst. So it's a tough call between two of them. So one was a skydiving experience that happened almost 10 years ago, and that was in California. And the second one that I can think of is, which is more recent, was the scuba diving with the sharks. So I think I would pick scuba diving with the sharks in the Bahamas as more exciting and more scarier. It could be because I think the skydiving incident happened 10 years back. So I think that it's not very fresh in my memory to begin with. Even though that was an extremely exhilarating experience. I remember it was, yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen, at the end of it. But at the same time, I didn't know what was going to happen at the end of my scuba diving trip also, with the sharks, because they're wild animals. They could react anyway, and you obviously hear stories of attacks on humans on the beaches, and also I'm like, how can people just dive? And it's something that I'd seen long back, and I'd been planning for a very, very long time. And again, something that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, because I never scuba dive a lot. It's something I learned very recently. I took a certification 3 years back. So, and again, it was a completely solo trip, right? So it was, I had to plan everything myself. And yeah, I remember so we had 2 dives in that particular ocean. And the first one, I had to abort midway because I was breathing heavily. I was nervous, with all those sharks swimming around me. And even though they're not really harming you, or not even intimidating you, but you do get intimidated by, by them swimming around you. But the second dive was much, much more relaxed, and I was able to breathe normally and control my emotions. And yeah, it was really, really rewarding, I would say, at the end of it.
Interesting. Yeah, I wish there's a photograph of this. I would love to share that, Gopesh. And so another question, right? So I think obviously a lot of travel is very planned. You decide where to stay and all of that. But some of the most, I don't know best, but at least some of the most memorable ones are the ones that happen unplanned, right? It's a spur of the moment decision that we take. And so do you have any specific very memorable experience about something like this, Gopesh?
So I can think of 2 of them actually. So one was my very first trip to Washington DC that happened. So so what happened was, I used to play racquetball earlier, like about 4 or 5 years back. And this happened about, I believe, 6 years back, where I registered for a tournament in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was the tournament happens over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So obviously, if you keep winning in the tournament, you would keep progressing, and hopefully you would make it till the finals on Sunday. So so I did reserve my hotel booking from Friday to Sunday, thinking that I might at least play till Saturday. But then I lost in the very first round on Friday evening itself. So I had 2 nights to kill and 2 days to kill also.
Mm-hmm.
So then I decided, why not visit Washington during on the next day on Saturday. So that was again completely unplanned. Just did a lot of walking. It was February during that. Yeah, it was winter during that time. So yeah, it was extremely cold, but yeah, I just did a lot of walking and just had a lot of. I obviously used Google, right, to figure out where everything was. But again, a beautiful city, very well planned, so you don't get lost at all when you are in Washington DC. The second thing that comes to my mind is my trip to London, which was again completely unplanned. So this was while coming back from India to the US on one of my India trips, and I had an 8-hour or 9-hour layover at Heathrow Airport. So I just at the spur of the moment, I asked the air hostess, that can I just visit London without a visa? And she didn't give me a reaction. She's like, yeah, why not? You can just go up with the immigration officer and ask for it, right? I mean, what will you do? He'll not put you in prison, right? Or he'll not insult you or something. He'll say that no, it's not possible. But you're not losing anything as such, But then you look at the upside. You can get to see London for multiple hours. So yeah, I just went up to the immigration officer and told him that I have an 9-hour layover and I don't want to spend 9 hours at Heathrow Airport doing nothing. So would you give me a pass to visit London? And he asked me a few questions. Like he asked me where you're from and where you're going and what time is the connecting flight. He saw my US visa. And he just said, just make sure that you come back for your connecting flight. He just gave me a 24-hour pass. I said, you just need to go. And that was
interesting.
Extremely interesting. And so obviously, generally when I travel, I travel using a car or some kind of a vehicle that I rent. But here I just completely use the public transports, use the trains, use the buses. And I was able to visit a lot of places in London for those 4 or 5 hours that I was there. So,
interesting.
And one good thing about London is I think the train system is excellent to begin with. Language is not a problem at all. And the third thing was that everything is very close by. So everything, like if you come to central London or if you come to the London Eye and British Parliament, everything is within walking distance. So the Trafalgar Square or the Thames River, talk about Buckingham Palace, all of them are right there. So it was. I think the timing was perfect because it started raining when we landed in London, but when I stepped out, it was bright. It was sunny. It was winter though, and I was without a jacket.
Oh,
but
okay.
I somehow managed that that cold with just a long sleeve shirt. But it was worth an experience. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think just a quick anecdote about Gopesh is that he likes to walk around in the winter without a jacket and in summer shorts. So maybe London is where probably all of this started. So that's interesting. So another thing, Gopesh, is not always is travel very smooth. Things don't go as planned. I mean, you rent a car, there's a car breakdown, or I don't know, like a tire puncture, or like a connecting flight is cancelled, or a hotel booking, there's an issue, something like that. So, is there anything that you remember, in an unplanned issue, that you faced, and what did you learn from it, Gopesh?
So again, 2 things come to mind. So one was, again, I spoke about my trip to Banff National Park. It was an excellent trip overall. I think it was a beautiful place and got to do a lot of things, got to see a lot of places. But one thing that happened was in one of the hostels that I booked that didn't have running water at all. So which meant, obviously, you couldn't brush your teeth. You couldn't take a shower, and and even after going to the loo, you could just use a sanitizer. You couldn't really wash your hands, and that is something which I was not used to. Because obviously, you've been to places as a kid, as a school kid, you go camping and everything, but you do have some kind of running water somewhere, that you'd use. But that place didn't have any any running water. I remember coming back from two hikes really, and then going to the hostel. And I wanted to just sleep in that hostel, but take a shower before sleeping. So obviously, people in the hostel were very, very accommodating, very friendly. So the attendant over there said, "No, this is where this is. This is where this is. You can come for the bonfire here and this and that." And then I asked a question. That all that is fine, but I just want to take a quick shower. Let me take a quick shower. And she's like, "Oh, we don't have running water here." I was like, "Okay." Then absolutely straight face. I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll manage."
Interesting.
But so I think that was the only hiccup. But then it's part of the travel, right? It's some people travel that way. They go with that mindset that just live life in a very rustic manner, just for those couple of days. So nothing wrong with that. But I just at that time after a long day, I really want to take a shower. But that was not happening on that night.
Interesting.
And the worst thing was so that was the last night that I stayed in Banff, and the next day was my flight was the next day in the afternoon. So basically I didn't shower before the flight as well. So that was not a very pleasant thing.
Sounds interesting.
The second thing is I think again my trip to Iceland again. I'm mentioning two of the most beautiful places that I visited, Banff and Iceland. And something not going your way is another. It can happen in those two places also. So I think missing the Northern Lights was something which is a bit disheartening at that time, because you had planned to visit during March, where you have 12 hours of darkness and 12 hours of sunlight. So during 12 hours of sunlight, you can obviously see the places around. It's absolutely gorgeous, and then 12 hours you can actually hunt for the Northern Lights as well. But the forecast for the Northern Lights during that time, for the 1 week that we were there, was horrible, and it was completely cloud covered for the entire trip. And we completely missed the Northern Lights. And as soon as we landed in we landed at Newark Airport after the trip, and we got to know that there was some major solar storm that broke out, and the entire sky was filled with Northern Lights over Iceland. So, and that was the day we landed at Newark. So
interesting.
It was but I think there's always the next time. Again, a good excuse to visit Iceland once again, which I definitely want to.
I'm sure it's I think an opportunity for you to go back to Iceland, right? I've not been there myself, but I've heard it's a very, very beautiful country overall to visit, Gopesh. So moving on, Gopesh, is there a place that is for some reason so good, or some reason that really connects to you, or that you like for some specific reason that you wouldn't mind going to every year, saying, okay, this is a place like I really wish I could go every year. So what would that be, Gopesh?
So I think every year I would try something new all the time, right? So I think visiting a place every year might be a little difficult, though I would love to visit. So if I had the option, I would love to visit Banff during the summers every year, and the Caribbean during the winter. I think it's a perfect timing, to visit both those places. And anywhere in the Caribbean, it could be the Bahamas, it could be Puerto Rico. Just a kind of winter getaway, during just to escape the cold. Another place, obviously, which is again very convenient, is the New England area during fall. So. And since I moved to the New England area, right, I was almost in my backyard. So I won't call it a trip, but I would love to just drive down to Vermont or New Hampshire, like a 2-hour drive, and just spend time there every year.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, and that is true though. I think that's a place, probably the New England area, something I do every year myself. Anyway, I think for the last 7 or 8 years, I don't know. I forget. I've lost count now. But I don't know if that's because it's really beautiful or if it's just it's so convenient or it's a combination of both. But it
Yeah.
is. I think I would definitely recommend people visit the New England area, in the fall, at least once in their lifetimes, right? I mean, it is just so good because, in my opinion, the best part of it is you can drive, let's say, 5 or 15 or 20 miles, and the landscape is entirely different.
Yeah.
Like you can be in one point and it's all green. You go to the next point, it's all red, and then you move like you drive 5 or 10 miles, it's yellow, and then you drive a few more miles north and it's all brown.
Oh yeah.
It's just the landscape can change in a matter of minutes. It's just so beautiful, Gopesh. And I think even places like Mount Washington and all, as you climb, you can see the colors change.
Exactly. Yeah. Eventually, yeah.
Yes, it's really mind blowing.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, Gopesh, is there a place that you think that you've been to saying, okay, I think once is enough. I wouldn't want to go there twice. Or I mean, maybe in your case, that's almost every place because you want to experience new places. But for any reason, is there a place saying, okay, even if I were to get a free ticket, I wouldn't go there. I would probably spend a couple of $100 and then go to another place. Is there any place like that?
So so I never disliked a place or got bored of a place after going there. I think it was all all of my experiences were pretty good. I think one activity I can think of that I might not do again is skiing. I think I've tried that about 4-5 times already, and I'm still not been able to master it. And obviously we went on a skiing trip once together, and it was not it was memorable in a different way altogether, right?
Yes.
All of us had different kinds of accidents while falling down, and also, that's something I would, I don't know, I would love to do it, but I just lost the inclination to do it anymore, so it depends. If my partner in the future would like to do skiing, I would love to do it again, but if I don't have the motivation, I think that's something I would prefer not doing again.
Yeah, I think I have done skiing so far once in my life, and I'm sure that is the exact same statement I will be making 50 years from today. So that's my opinion on skiing, Gopesh. But that's a personal opinion. Some people love it. I mean, I know people who go like they plan skiing trips twice a year or thrice a year and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's a personal choice, and
Absolutely.
So, Gopesh, I think, a couple of last questions. I think first among the last two is, what is your advice? So, what's your advice to people who want to travel or who wish to travel, Gopesh?
So one thing I would say is, just follow your heart. If you decide do it, just do it. Don't, I would say don't wait for people, because obviously people are also busy in their own lives, right? And if you have the opportunity, and even if it means making a solo trip, you should definitely do it. Because a lot of people say that, no, I want to do this, but I don't have people accompanying me, or this timing is not right. I mean, I don't think. I mean, you make your own time, right? It's not that you're that busy that you cannot take out time.
True. Mm-hmm.
So I think if you decide, if you want to do it, I would say just do it. Don't wait for anything. Second thing is, I think you need to plan it out, especially if you're doing a solo trip. You should definitely have good planning on where you're staying, how you're going to travel to that place, because you don't want to end up going there and feeling lost completely. So I think it's very important that you plan out your trip, where you're staying. Again, things might not go your way, right? The website might say that, yes, this place has running water, for example. Obviously, that website mentioned very clearly that it had running water. I didn't see it, but but something it could happen, right? They would say that, this place has running water, and you go there and things are not working, right? So, but you need to plan out as much as possible. I think that's very, very important. And the third thing is, you should be prepared for the worst if it happens, right? you should always have that, have that fallback option. And where you need to pull out, you need to pull out at the right time. So I remember when I was hiking in the Banff area, there was obviously, it was still early summer, so the snow had still not melted off. And to reach the peak, you had to wade through snow pretty much. And it was extremely slippery, it was extremely icy. And and generally what I do is, when I start off something, I want to finish it off. I don't want to leave anything halfway. But, at that time I was like, no, you're completely alone by yourself. And, if you slip down, it's like almost 1,000 feet cliff down. So, it's, you need to be careful also, especially when you're traveling alone. With a group of friends, obviously, you're a little bit more carefree. But, you should always be prepared for the worst and act accordingly. I think it's very, very important. And I think the fourth thing that I can think of is, have the right group of friends to travel with. Because you don't want to stress yourself more, during that particular trip. So it's very, very important that, you have the right group of people that you're traveling with.
True, very true. That's interesting. So my last question, Gopesh, is, you said if my future partner, is interested in travel and stuff like that. So we are recording this, I think mid March of 2021, and I think you're getting married in, I think, a few weeks, right? I think 4 to 6 weeks, not more than that. So what's on your bucket list of places, Gopesh?
So I think what's more important, what is in mine and what's in her bucket list as well. And,
that's very true. Very important. Yes.
That's very important, right? And so one thing is, so I'm not sure if you know this, but so before we actually started talking, she had completely stalked my Instagram profile completely. So
I've spoken to her a couple of times, and she does come across as someone who would do that. So, okay, let's go on. Yeah.
So, in fact, you take a quiz, right, on my Instagram posts between me and Shariyu. So she will win hands down. She can talk about posts that I've posted like 2 years back, and I've completely forgotten about it. So, she has obviously seen that I've been to and all of that. And she's like, what all places you've been to, you need to visit with me again. So,
okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm totally fine with that. So, I mean, obviously she loves the Iceland pics. So she wants to visit Iceland for sure. She wants to visit Banff once again. And she wants to go to the Caribbean islands. So, so I think a lot of these places which are in my bucket list would be in her bucket list, which I'll be repeating once again, right? So, so a lot of places like that. At least in possibly the next few months that I can think of, because of Corona and everything else, travel would be very restricted. So we'll be concentrating our travel mainly within the US, I would say. So. So I think after, one of the immediate trips that I can think of is Grand Teton in Yellowstone, which I've already been to. So, but yeah, it'll be a good new experience for her. And again, we're planning a longer trip this time, so I know what to do and what not to do there. Once we visit that place. Going to the Southwest once again, going to Las Vegas, Grand Canyon again is definitely on the list. On a combined list, I would say, not on my list, but on our combined list. Going to the Bahamas, because I visited one island when I went to the Bahamas. This would be another island completely that we plan to visit sometime, hopefully during winter this year. Again, within the US, I think I want to visit Hawaii and Seattle. That's the two places that I really want to visit, which I've not yet visited. So, love to go to those places. But apart from, obviously, the places I've already been to, which I'll be repeating once again, the other places, and hopefully the travel restrictions get better in the next few years. I think the country that's topmost in our list is New Zealand. In our list, Shariyu's and my list, is going to be New Zealand, just for the thrill factor that this place that place offers. It's there's a place called Queenstown in South New Zealand, and I just watched a YouTube video on 10 or 11 things to do there. And I'm sure in 1 week you cannot cover everything. So it's, I have to pick and choose from the 11 crazy experiences which are there. So, and possibly you need to make multiple trips to New Zealand just to experience everything.
Interesting.
So New Zealand is definitely there at the top of our list. We have South Africa as well. Just again for the variety it offers, right? So you do have the adventure activities. You have the highest or the second highest bungee jump in South Africa. You have the cage diving with the sharks. Both the things that I completely love. Then you have a Table Mountain, and you can just hike up Table Mountain in close to Cape Town, that is. And you have Kruger National Park also there. So again, if you're into wildlife and everything of that sort, if you love animals, that's a great place to be. So South Africa is definitely there, and again, a completely new continent, not explored Africa at all till now. So I'd love to visit South Africa. The other one is again in the African continent is hiking up Kilimanjaro, which has been in my bucket list for a very, very long time. And again, a lot of people have done it, right? So and a lot of times what happens is when you see other people doing it, you also get more motivated. Like, yeah, that person can do it, why not me, right? So yeah, it's going to be a 10-day hiking trip, really. And again, the landscape changes drastically. So even if hiking during the summer, at the top, you'll always find snow at Kilimanjaro in the middle of the equator. So it's again a very good experience that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully that happens soon. And then yes, you have Serengeti National Park, which is again in Tanzania, which is close to Mount Kilimanjaro. So spend time in spend time hiking up Kilimanjaro, and then come down and go for a wildlife safari in Serengeti National Park. So very ambitious plan, but yeah, hopefully that that happens soon. Another multi-day hike that again, which is in the list, is the Everest Base Camp hike, which is obviously not hiking up to Mount Everest, but just hiking up to the base camp, which is again supposedly a very, very picturesque hike, and also equally challenging as well. So that one, obviously that hike is again in the list. Obviously, Shari wants to hike up Mount Everest to the top, which I don't know if it's humanly possible for me at least. But yeah, I'm like, let's start slow. Let's at least get to the base camp first, and then next time we can think about whether to hike up Mount Everest or not. That's like a very, very ambitious bucket list item. But then apart from that, I think places in India which I would love to visit again, right? So I did mention about visiting Taj Mahal and Delhi. I've been to Delhi, but I've never really explored Delhi that much. So I would love to explore Delhi a lot, especially the food scene is something that I would love to visit. Taj Mahal is like one of those items that, yes, I just want to do it once, and finish it off. It's one of those things. So, so definitely, those two places. And again, Northeast is something I want to visit for a very long time. So, especially Sikkim and Bhutan. Obviously, Bhutan is not part of India, but around the northeast of India is one other places that I would, I'd love to go. Then you have the Europe mainland, right? I mean, I've been to the islands. I've been to UK. I've been to Iceland, but I've never been to mainland Europe. So, love to go on hiking trips to Norway. Switzerland is again supposedly very, very beautiful. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Bollywood movies, and everything. Practically every Shah Rukh Khan movie is shot in Switzerland. So,
yeah, which is why Switzerland is my favorite place too. So, yeah.
So obviously, you have Norway, you have Switzerland. You have the Dolomites in northern Italy, which not many people are aware of, but that's another interesting place that I want to visit. And I definitely want to visit the cities as well, right? I did speak about nature, having a nature theme, but would love to visit Paris, Rome, Venice, just to see what that city has to offer. Just like how I visit New York City, the same way, because I think every city has its soul, and I just want to understand how Paris is different from New York, and how Rome is different, and all of these cities have a very rich history, which I really want to understand. Then you have Machu Picchu in South America. That's another continent I want to explore. So that's another one. And again, I would love to visit Iceland and UK once again. So that's because again, obviously Iceland, we missed the Northern Lights, so that's another incentive to go there. And UK, this time I did make a trip to Scotland also, but that was a very short trip, about 3 days. So I would love to visit Scotland at a more leisurely pace, really. So yeah, I think not sure. Yeah, life is too long, but yeah, this is also an equally long list that I have.
Interesting. So it looks like you have the next maybe a decade or two kind of sorted out for yearly breaks, Gopesh. But one question is, you said Dolomites or something like that in northern Italy. So that's something I've not heard about. Can you, like, what is this? I mean, just if you can just educate me on this, what is it?
I mean, it's almost like the Alps in Switzerland, but it's something that many people have not spoken of, because when you speak about Italy, people talk about Rome, people talk about Venice, people talk about the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which obviously, I would love to visit those places. But it's again, I just found out through Instagram, right? I just follow some people, and they keep posting about the Dolomites. It's getting famous, and people are making trips there. It's a hiking heaven, people call it that. And it looks different from the other mountains, right? So even though I've not visited that place yet, that's something I would love to just explore sometime.
Interesting. Yeah. So, Gopesh, I just want to say thanks a lot. I mean, I think like with it's becoming a theme with almost every video where we say let's make it a 10 or 20 minute max video. I don't know how long this has gone. It's probably gone over 40 minutes maybe, but it's fantastic, Gopesh. And I think it was very captivating. I really liked some of the stories that you have. Very interesting, and I hope people who are watching this get some kind of an idea to add to their checklist or bucket list of places that they want to visit, Gopesh. So I really want to say thanks a lot for your time, and if I can get some pictures from you, then I'll probably add that as part of the video as well. So if any of you see pictures in the video, you should maybe thank Gopesh, and I'll also leave the link to Gopesh's Instagram. So definitely you can go and see if he's been truthful about the places that he's visited and he's going to visit in the...
I can Photoshop them as well.
Oh, man. Okay. So yeah, but just see...
All of those places are genuine completely. All of the photographs are completely genuine.
Yeah.
Just getting there.
So definitely, go take a look and see if you want to take some ideas for photographs or for places to visit from Gopesh. So thanks a lot for your time, Gopesh.
Oh, my pleasure completely. Yeah.